Hey there everyone, this is Jeremy, the Music Andy, and we're here today to talk about Crystalline, Exhaustion from Krallice. Krallice is a four-piece black metal, progression metal band from New York that came into the scene with their 2008 self-titled album. This current album that we're going to be talking about is said to be the band's 11th album. I'm guessing they're not counting their split that they did with Jirion. I'm guessing since that Jirion is half of the members that are in Krallice, so they just didn't want to count that one. This continues the march that I'm doing with black metal. It's a new genre that I'm getting my feet kind of wet in. I started listening to it at the end of last year. So far I've heard nothing but good things from the genre. The last one that I listened to from Vega Duad was very, very good, so I'm hoping that this continues the trend that has taken place so far. So let's just dive right into this album. Frost is our first track, and it plays exactly how the name would imply it is. It's freezing, it's chilling, it's cold. The beginning synthesizer sounds like somebody that's stuck in a tundra, and they're letting out this low growl because they're just shivering and freezing to death. This song is very slow, it's very progressive in the beginning of this. The drums are very methodical, they're very spacious, and then when the 2-minute mark hits, it immediately switches over to blast beats. The vocals on this are super low. Once the vocals cut in, it really lets the instruments just really go wild. The bass around the 3-minute and 30-second mark kind of gives me an indication of what this bass player is for the band. I love the tone coming from him. I love the little fill section that he's doing. I just feel like he's going to be a very staple part of this album. As we move through the song, it's very evident how many prog elements are in it. The instruments are always trying to find a way to constantly evolve and to make these quick little transitions and fills and rhythm switches and tempo switches. All this is happening and it's very, very busy. It really takes the breath out of you, but the band has moments where it resets. I think it's for them and for us equally to get our breathing. The moments in between the vocals kind of leave me wanting more from the instruments. I wish they would step in and make a bigger role into the song, leaving it a little bit less atmospheric, but that's fine if you like it especially. To explain a little bit more about these atmospheric moments, I just wish that there was a little bit more wow factor going into these. The tones and the melodies aren't enough to really keep my attention. The drums do a lot of the heavy lifting in these sections, constantly evolving, constantly progressing, really just keeping my ear glued onto the track for these parts. Still though, overall this is a great song with some great highs and some very subtle lows. Telos is our second track on this. And this song is my favorite song. It really showcases the drummer and bass player. They're constantly fighting for the center stage, really carrying the lead section, I feel, and the guitar and synthesizer are more so in the background, kind of making textures and the environment a little bit more richer. Like I said, the bass and drummer really do the heavy focus of this, the off-key bass climbs that this bass player has, and the synergy between the bass player and the drummer are just remarkable. The top section that the drummer is doing, focusing more on, the snares and the cymbals, is just, I cannot say enough good things. It's constantly evolving, it's flipping over each other, it's constantly resetting. No two rhythm sections are the same, the fills are never the same. It just really showcases the songwriting from the drummer, and I'm blown away by it. Going on to the guitar and synth, as I was saying, they were kind of more focused on making textures in the atmosphere a little bit richer. The tones coming from the synth and the guitar are a lot more of an improvement from the last track that's going on. You can really see this in the 3-minute and 10-second mark when this guitar is just kind of being pulled away from the track and the delays are just getting glitched out and just dissipating outwards. The vocals in this are very scattered, but when they do get introduced, I'm blown away by how incredible and powerful that they are, and especially with how the instruments are in these moments with the vocals. It's a very chaotic, frenzying section, and it just feels so good when the band is playing all together. This may be album number 11, but I see no signs of regression or slowing down at all. Heathen Swill, track 3, moves a lot like the last track, but this time the guitar instead of the bass is the more technical approaching instrument. There's a lot of progression swings in this. The drummer kind of feels like a kid in a classroom that can't sit still, constantly moving around, constantly swinging, violently moving around in his chair. And it just sounds fantastic. The synth in this adds a more textural approach again from the last one, but it kind of feels like a film is over the top of this. The more dry notes later on from the keys are a lot more of a tone that I would like to hear. It's a very nice section sprinkled over top of this more lower end section, and it's just kind of ear candy to me. This song honestly could be my favorite one too, but I prefer when a bass player gets to wreak havoc over a guitar player. That's just my feelings because I very rarely get to hear it now. Archlight's track 4 welcomes some shrieking keys and some almost unhuman-like vocals. They're very distorted, they're very deepened. It takes me back every time I hear it. This is a very momentum-based track. It flows more like a river rather than the step-like jagged approach from the more technical tracks that are on this. Despite saying this, the halfway point of this has a very disgustingly disjointed guitar section that completely comes out of left field. From what I'm hearing on this album, Krallice is making these very memorable moments from very unexpected sections of their songs. Right when I was tucked into this more groove momentum-based track, they just punch me right in the face and throw me against the wall, just violently stirring my conscience. The ending repetition on this track is very intense. It's very frenzying. It's very chaotic. It boils over, and then this track just kind of fades out. It kind of scatters from left to right, and it just gets the hell out of here. Dismal Entity, track 5, plays again like all the other tracks, but this completely changes at the halfway point. We get this little euphoric synth piece, and it sounds like chirping keys, almost like a bird is kind of fluttering into this. We slowly start fading into this groovy, technical style of environment from the band, and then there's like these icicle tones that are being cued by the tops of the drum set being hit. It's wonderful. Around the 4-minute 34-second mark, the drummer displays his best performance on this entire album. He skates over the top of his cymbals, adding these quick little flicks over it, and it's just the most addicting listen of the entire album for me. And I'm going to go as far as saying that this drummer is probably my favorite drummer so far in the black metal scene. The technicality, the intensity, the tempo switching, and then just the progressions and evolution of songwriting that's on display is it's breathtaking. Overall, this is a very interesting song with some very creative transitions. Sending Us Home is the self-titled track, and it stands in at over 14 minutes. This song is definitely more for the fans of atmospheric black metal. These synths are creating icy winds and like frenzying snowstorms. The feelings of euphoric to deflating constantly battle between each other, just overtaking it until ultimately it just cuts out. When the band comes together to play, it almost sounds like they're playing in this icy cave with the drummer and bass player kind of fending off for themselves until the guitar comes busting in. Altogether, I'm more of a fan of the technical approach from this band, but this is a very well done atmospheric song that goes very ambient, and it really catches my ear. This is another great black metal album. This isn't my favorite from the genre. However, this is 7.9 glaciers out of 10. What did you think of this album? What albums would you like me to review in the future? Please leave a comment below and let me know. Subscribe if you like the content, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.